Hey everybody, welcome to episode number 29 of the Fitness Devil podcast, and today we have Peter Baker joining us. So Peter is a Tampa Bay based personal trainer. We'll tell you a little bit more about him in the episode, but we get into a bunch of cool stuff, including how people tend to treat nutrition as religion. Get into a discussion there. We get into some mental health stuff in the fitness industry and how that's important. And one of the big things is we get him on to talk about his the fitness competition prep book that he wrote with Dr. Lane Norton, and that's about to be released. By the time you guys hear this episode, it should actually be available. That's an amazing piece of work. I've read it, and it's super. And we also talk a bit about the importance of direct arm training for people who actually want to have big guns. So hopefully you guys really enjoy this episode. Stick around if you like it. We love reviews on iTunes, and share with a friend. Thank you so much.
Shut up and sit down.
This sort of thing. Although I do hear your voice on your all of your various discussions in Old Seminole, where you tag yourself in down in Tampa.
Yeah, Old Seminole Heights.
Yeah.
We actually had a serial killer here not too long ago. It was great.
Shit. We should probably put that on the air. That's fantastic.
They caught the guy. So actually, the last body they found was like 2 blocks away from where I live.
What was his profile? Like, who was he killing?
It was completely random.
It's good you didn't make the cut.
Well, I didn't go out at night or go to the bus stops, which is where he killed people.
Jesus Christ.
Like, in terms of, like, if you're going to kill someone at random, like, that's a visible fucking place. And do buses have cameras there?
There was footage of him, but it didn't amount to nothing. Like, eventually it was ballistics that got him because the guy works at a McDonald's, or he worked at a McDonald's in Ybor City, which is not too far away from where we are. Also invented the Cuban sandwich there, not in Miami. So someone saw that he had a gun and called the police, and it was a very specific type of bullet from that gun that they found at the scenes of the crime in the bodies, so that's how they got him.
Sweet.
So
usually we intro guests, but I actually think that that was a great intro to Peter Baker's mindset and where he lives in Tampa. It's super crazy.
Because you're actually recording right now.
Yeah,
people are gonna love this shit about the serial killer.
Yeah, it's fine.
I was just testing it out to see if the mics were working, but I don't even want to. I just want to continue doing the podcast like this.
Fuck yeah, this is fantastic.
It's better than that stupid song idea you had. I can't even remember the song. I think it
Butterfly.
was Crazy Town.
Yeah, you posted.
It's way better than that. Way better than that.
Peter posts a lot of stuff on Facebook, and it's usually inner workings of his brain that he just blurts out on Facebook. And he's like, "You know that song Butterfly?" He's like, "I fucking hate it," or something like that. I'm like, "What?"
They have a much better song.
I was sitting there fucking around on Instagram yesterday. I was looking through stories, and of course, because people still don't know how to do things properly.
Nope.
Someone was sitting in her car, and that fucking song was on, and I was like, "Gosh, why? This is not the year 2001 anymore. Like, why am I still hearing this?"
Well,
it's the worst song.
And was
in
she
the world,
listening to it, or was it on the radio? Because that's two different things. Like, it shouldn't be on the radio. Like, that's fucking atrocious.
Well, I mean, it was coming through her radio speakers. I don't know if she was it was a CD. I don't know if it was on her phone or whatever, but it was there, and and man,
they had a better song. You're saying?
Yeah, it's one that no one ever heard of. It's Black Cloud, and Jay Gordon from Orgy sings part of it too, and I love that one. But yeah, Butterfly's
they have 2 songs, and basically that was like rock rap before it was like a thing, and then Limp Bizkit came out and made it not Butterfly or the fuck that was.
The song originally was from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. It was called Pretty Little Ditty, and they just sampled that, and they put their terrible rap lyrics over it.
And then they amounted to nothing, but they got one song on the radio.
At least one of them's dead. I think one of them showed up on one of those celebrity rehab things. These guys are not bastions of success. I don't think so. Well, guys, this is sort of a rambling introduction from Peter Baker. So if you actually don't know who Peter is, I'll actually throw him out really quickly. He is a Tampa Bay-based personal trainer, he's a writer, author, and well, it's just really cool to have you on here. He recently co-authored a book with Dr. Lane Norton, so we're going to get into that. But actually, one of the cool things that Peter and I were talking a little bit about leading up to this was Peter has an extensive education in religion. So no, guys, we're not going to get too theological about God and whatnot. But one of the things we deal with is in the fitness industry, a lot of people tend to treat nutrition with full-blown religious devotion. I think you could put that mildly. You see religious zealotry. People feel the need to become, feel a part of something or part of a tribe. And so, Peter, from your perspective and your educational background, where does this originate from? How can it be beneficial? And where does this sort of indoctrination become problematic?
Well, the good thing about my degree is that it was not predicated upon any sort of belief, which theology is. So I didn't get a theology degree. I just did religious studies. So I got to study whatever I wanted, basically, and maybe specialize if I wanted to. So that was pretty awesome. Yeah, so way back when, right, when people were codifying these beliefs and practices and rituals and all that, they did it to answer questions. Later on in life, this scholar named Paul Tillich called them the questions of ultimate concern. Like, the shit that really matters in your life. Like, what's going to happen when I die? All that kind of important stuff. And if you look at sociology and sociologists that studied religion, they broke it down into two camps. And usually it was for them, it was like a either or type thing. They did what was called a functional definition of religion or a substantive definition of religion. So the substantive definitions of religion focused on what the religion was comprised of, like what they believed. The functional definitions focused on what purpose they served. So to that end, they took, oh man, a dog's barking. That's my dog, sorry. So to that end, they took the functionality of religion and noted a trend in, basically, like you said, community building, having people there to answer those questions of ultimate concern. So when, somebody close to you dies, everybody's like, oh, it's going to be okay. Let me know if you need anything. And, you get the community to help you out with the funeral and stuff like that. And then later on, especially nowadays, like if you go to university, you can take classes on religion and pop culture where they talk about the functionality of religion and as it relates to fandoms, like Star Trek conventions, Star Wars conventions, and things like that. And so with our industry, people have this question of ultimate concern of, hey, how do I lose weight or whatever it is? It's pretty simple, but it's like, and then the people are like, oh, you should eat this ketogenic diet because Steve Gooser over there, he lost 100 pounds on it and it's great. And then they start spreading the gospel of it and then converting people. And then they have adherents and then they have, church services in the form of conventions and shit like that.
That's how it started anyways. It's like literally a remap of the Bible. You have the evangelicalists, they just go out and like, here's the good words, keto, blah, blah, and then it just turns into
it's not. I don't want to make fun of the keto people too much because this happens everywhere. This happens within training modalities too. Like the old RKC people back in the day used to be pretty zealous about things. I don't know if you guys remember those forums or not, but yeah, they were too, and that was just a training modality more than anything about food. But yeah, the food stuff definitely does it.
In terms of and even let's go there. So we're talking about nutrition and religious zealotry, and we do see it within fitness disciplines, almost to the sense of what you're talking about, that greater sense of belonging, community. This can be a major positive, but in your opinion, do you think it can go too far? And just even some examples of that.
Well, yeah, I mean, so if I were too far entrenched into one camp and it prohibits me from helping out somebody who comes to me for advice, because if I'm stuck doing one thing and I can't help them figure something else out, then yeah, I mean, that fucks me up and I fucks them up too. It definitely doesn't help them because, what if they don't want to eat slabs of bacon all day, or what if they don't want to eat Pop-Tarts and weigh out everything on a scale and all that stuff? Like, if I can't help them do that, then I failed.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where it becomes a problem.
Especially in, even training, like the RKC movement, that was kettlebells. Am I?
Yeah, for the most part, back in the day.
Yeah, and like they would argue you can get all your training things into it, but then like, what happens with the person who can't even like attempt to do some of that shit? Like, they just don't train.
Well, I think you see that, and again, CrossFit's sort of low-hanging fruit and easy to beat up on, but there's a whole bunch of modalities within CrossFit that the modality takes precedent over the person, and the expectation is that the person does it. Think about the overhead American kettlebell swing, which I utterly despise. I think it's crap. And you're taking people with poor thoracic mobility, and you're having them do a ballistic swing of a kettlebell into fully overhead extension for people who probably can't even put their arms in that position anyway. You're doing it loaded with weight and momentum. That's a great way to tear up someone's rotator cuffs. So I'm a big believer in you suit the exercise to the person and not the person to the exercise. So
that should be religion. We should just be zealots of fucking using your brain. Like, is that something you can be?
Well, the problem is with ideologies is that you always have to have an enemy, and when you're actually sensible, there's really not. And stupidity is an enemy, but like I mean, there's really no us or them, like to the degree of like like a hardcore vegan or a hardcore keto diet or a clean eater versus a flexible dieter and stuff like that. So there's really less of a defined line when people take moderate approaches from whatever happens to fit the person. So it makes it a little bit more difficult to get as zealous about it, I guess.
Well, we still see like zealot, like I don't want to call, because obviously you co-authored a book with Lane, and Lane is notorious for battling all the keto zealots on social media. So I guess Lane is kind of the opposite end of that spectrum, but he himself is quite zealous about combating that misinformation or these people who pigeonhole themselves into one way is the only way. And it can sometimes, I guess, take on the same manifestations of that intensity. But I think at least he tries to show a measure of being based in evidence and not showing a great deal of bias. I think he's actually pretty good at that one.
I think he's fucking with them sometimes. Like, it's hilarious.
Well, I think they're fucking with him too.
That's what I want. I think some people do it because they know what he's gonna fucking say, but then when he says it, it makes him more famous and sells more shit. Like, it's kind of like a good little circle there. Like, when he goes nuts on his stories, he's like, "This motherfucker, you fucking idiot!" It's just like, Jesus. And I go look at his background. He's like the smartest dude in the world. Best language ever.
Yeah, I get pretty intense sometimes, but yeah, that's what I like about what I studied and what we do. I like making those comparisons. It's pretty nice.
Do you think there's anything really beneficial that you can take and say to our enthusiasts or certainly our trainers who listen about how they approach nutrition with their clientele? Something that's going to be a positive, a takeaway when people are faced with those people around them who are preaching ideology, sometimes very extreme or one size fits all type stuff. How do you guide someone into navigating, avoiding getting sucked up into some of the more extreme stuff?
So are you saying, like, let's say I got a friend who's hardcore X, and I'm like, hey, maybe you shouldn't be hardcore X. How do I get them to not be? Or how do I get other people to not fall for it?
I think more of the other people to not fall for it, because the people who have gotten firmly entrenched, we all know that arguing with them or trying to take them off of that ledge isn't an easy thing. And you argue with them, it tends to harden their resolve in that position. So it's more about, sort of protecting the people who are more vulnerable to being misled by those extremists.
Well, most of it comes down to how you talk to people, and you have to figure out, we have to figure out who we want to reach, and then reach those people the best we can, and then let other people reach other people who are equally qualified, reach whoever they're going to reach, if that makes sense. So Lane's approach, he's not for everybody. And, we generally pretty much agree on a lot of things, and we just approach it a different way with the way we explain it and whatnot. And some people really get into that dorky PubMed stuff, and good for them. Those are less the people I want to reach. I want to reach people who don't necessarily want to know the intricacies of the why of something, but give them a little bit, but that way they can go on and live their lives and not be so entrenched in it in any way. And I want them to, like, the people I want to reach, I want them to make this stuff fit their life and not their life fit this, if that makes sense.
Totally. Is a requirement, do they have to wear short shorts in their training to be part of your tribe?
No, that is not a requirement. I want people to wear whatever they're comfortable wearing.
So you're not a zealot of shorts. You're just like, be yourself.
No, I wear short shorts because I like to.
With Peter, it's more about tight fitting pants versus.
I would say it's erring on the side of zealotry. You're pushing them. I've seen the posts. It's a little zealot. He's like, fuck
yeah,
you.
Well, I got to wear my fly gym clothes whenever I go to the gym.
You can do whatever the fuck you want. They're great. I like mid thigh. I don't do like super high, but I do like them above the knees. I hate when shit catches on my knees.
You know who else? You know who else does the short shorts? Jay Ashman does.
Oh, but Jay Ashman would like. Jay thinks he has like the biggest legs in the world.
I hope.
Well, what's funny too is like he is very tall, and he is a very intimidating looking guy. So when I was in Kansas City with him at the fitness summit last year, we were hanging out with the Stronger You crew before they left, right? We were going to get a picture. So out of all the people to go up and ask somebody to take a picture, Jay goes up to like this elderly woman and is like, "Hey, could you take a picture?" out of all the people, Sarah was there, his wife was there, and Mike Dola probably should have been the one to ask because he looks like the most harmless guy in the world. But no, it was Jay, and it was hilarious, and then we got a picture out of it. It was a good time.
Yeah, because she was scared shitless. Was he wearing short shorts?
No, I don't think so. We went and got like some pizza or something like that. We kept it pretty casual, normal clothes.
You guys are probably doing that while me and it was Eric Bach and Robbie Farlow went out and grabbed some barbecue and ran into Greg Knuckles and Andy Morgan. It's kind of ridiculous just the who's who of was at that event. I can't wait for this one this year.
Yeah, I drink a lot of whiskey there, and hopefully I can go again and do the same thing.
Are you going this year?
It was. I'm hoping so.
We're there, so it'll be a lot of fun.
All I hear is drinking, so I'm like good. I'm not that I'm like a super big drinker, but like I could let loose for a weekend.
Alan Aragon will be up later than everybody else. He just keeps going. He's legendary.
Yeah.
So let's shift over into something else you and I were talking about in advance of this too, and that's sort of the topic of mental health, which outside of a handful of fitness pros who do a really great job with it, we as an industry often reluctant, or people in general, reluctant to talk about it. And up here in Canada, we have this internet company I actually kind of despise them. I hate the whole fucking thing. It's like this hashtag blank talks, and it's this token virtue signaling sort of thing about mental health, but it's superficial bullshit, and everybody posts on their Facebook and no one does crap about it. But I recently wrote something about my own experiences, in part to open a discussion for others who might feel kind of isolated and alone. Some stuff that, I deal with sometimes. And this received a positive response with a lot of people in our industry sharing that experience. Why do you think it's so hard for many of us to open up about our emotional well-being, specifically when it isn't going very well? And why do we feel pressure to present this perfect image to our audience?
Well, I just think we want people to like us for the most part. And if somebody finds it weak or vulnerable and hates us for it, that's pretty detrimental. But I don't know. Me, I talk about it because people do listen to what I have to say sometimes, and I think it might, call me crazy. It might help somebody one day. And just having somebody there talking about it and. Just saying, hey, we're not alone. Or, somebody looking on could say, hey, I'm not alone.
Well, I wonder if it's like, I don't know. I think as fitness professionals, just because our job is theoretically to help people, is that I would assume a lot of people would think that if they present this image of where they are fucked up, that they may not reach the people they need to be. And I think that it almost becomes the opposite as long as you're not like a total.
I think it's some people misinterpret it as showing a sign of weakness.
Yeah.
It could be the same thing as, not a discussion that maybe today we could do justice with, but the whole debate over whether or not fitness professionals and personal trainers should be in shape, which is commonly debated. It's kind of, again, low-hanging fruit, but there's a lot of people in our industry that do not feel that it's appropriate for a fitness professional to be, quote, out of shape. And there are nuances to that discussion, but I think people worry that it damages their credibility with everyone, where we're supposed to have it together. We're supposed to be positive. We're supposed to be happy. Exercise is supposed to be an antidote to depression and anxiety and these emotional issues. And I think if we were to show the world, hey, we're still struggling with these things despite our physiques and our success in our careers, then, well, shit, maybe this stuff isn't the answer. Maybe it doesn't work. Thoughts?
Well, I mean, nobody. I think somebody would have to be very irresponsible if they said, "Yeah, exercise will fucking cure your depression." It probably helps a little bit. Like, I'm sure there's some research I've seen that says, "Hey, it's not a bad idea to exercise if you're depressed." But then you get to a point where, what if, like, and this is something I read somewhere recently, like. Side effects of an antidepressant sometimes are suicide, not because it makes you depressed and want to kill yourself, but it'll actually give you the energy to actually kill yourself, which you didn't have to do, which you didn't have before, right? So if it takes, so you have, whenever you have a stressor in your life, a stimulus, which is a stressor, you have you have three different ways you can deal with it. You have a mechanical, like exercise. You have a chemical, which is, anything from food to drug use to, even drinking water. And you have a psychological intervention you could take to relieve the stressor, right, and resolve it. So if at a particular time a mechanical intervention is not going to help because, you don't have the energy, then maybe it's time for a chemical intervention. So then you take your SSRI or whatever, and then you fucking go to the gym, and then you hopefully create a positive feedback loop.
What do you think about people in the greater fitness and health industry sharing these bullshit memes about, like, a picture of outdoors? This is an antidepressant, then a pile of pills. This is not an antidepressant. I kind of reminded of that when we saw Spencer Nadolski grab up David Avocado Wolf. And so he got David Avocado Wolf on a video to say hi to Martin McDonald. And of course, our community thinks that David Avocado Wolf is one of the biggest charlatans in the universe. And yet David just smiles and says hi to him like he has no idea that he's part of an inside joke. So.
Well, that's because David's going to go home and roll in piles of money, which I think the problem is. The problem is that we look at, and obviously that meme is fucking stupid, and thankfully I associate on the internet with a lot of people who don't typically share dumb shit like that, so I have it good in that regard. But the problem is when we look at people like the marketing guys who are completely wrong on their science, we don't learn from that and make ours better. In fact, it's more of a detriment when some of the smartest guys in our industry totally look down upon marketing, even though they have something great to offer the world.
Yeah, and that kind of comes down to even this whole, we've talked about a lot with social media and like the right information we put out there. And some of the smartest people that could make the biggest change aren't necessarily taking I guess the front lines of social media, of being out there, of marketing, and they literally could have the biggest impact because they're right and smart.
Then they draw this ridiculously arbitrary, like this line in the sand that they draw on how sleazy marketing can be is like, it's almost as arbitrary as the size of the size that the weight plates came to be, and then how we automatically take that as the standard of where you have to deadlift, which I literally saw an argument about this the other day. They're arguing over hip extension, which can be something, it could be a pretty big range of motion or something as little as like an inch. Like, they just, it's all fucking arbitrary. And they do that, and then they're stifling their growth, by not being positive and putting more of themselves out there for the world to see.
they just got to move their hands out a little bit and turn like.
Well,
I can't even get into like fuck, how many times do every week I'm like I see this fucking stupid shit. They're like everyone thinks they're so fucking smart. It's like a fucking squat or a deadlift. Like
D gets twisted up about some stupid shit.
Basically the same thing that you're doing. It's arbitrary. It's like you're barking up the wrong tree. I don't think you fully get it.
We get fit pros who argue over minutia, over really, really irrelevant crap that isn't really helping anyone. And you know what? I perhaps I was guilty of this maybe in the past. I really try to steer clear of these kind of arguments now because I don't feel like they're productive, and it taxes our emotional energy, puts us into a negative place.
It
does. It's the worst. Like
So
just now I wasted 10 seconds.
Yeah, and the
he's
other
actually a
night,
little hot
right?
right now.
I was looking at a group. It was, of course, it was a conversation about it was about the bench press arch and powerlifting, and I got really high. I smoked like a fat bowl of reefer, and I'm just looking at this, and I was like, hey, is this going to be one of those things where some people say, hey, it's cheating, and other people say, hey, they're following the rules?
Absolutely. That was the one recently. That was the one like 2 days ago. Yeah, I think someone said like thoughts. It's like you're just opening up like the same fucking loop again, and I'm not gonna partake this fucking time. It's not doing it.
It's like the guys who like just freak the fuck out about sumo and being cheating, and they spend so much mental energy on that. It's like, guys, who gives a shit?
You know what?
Really?
Even my, and I don't say it because I want, and it's gonna come out here. It's just like you're worried about these fucking guys bench press. Like you bench 135. Who the fuck cares? Like you're not even in the realm of powerlifting competitively. Who cares?
Yeah, like even when I did compete in powerlifting, my bench was pretty terrible, and I still had a terrible arch. So like you know,
if you're that guy,
care.
like in terms of like relative and context and power, like the guys who can say shit, like if you bench 440, you can weigh in a little bit. Someone's gonna listen to you, but like pretty much 99% of people are weighing in, like don't even actually know how to bench press.
Dean chose the number 440 arbitrarily because that just so happens to be his best bench press.
Yeah, absolutely. But I don't even get into it because I'm weak. I'm a fucking weak person in terms of like what actual powerlifting, in terms of competitive powerlifting is. And people are worried about this dude who's like, he was like 160 and bench 450 with like a huge arch, like whatever, like who cares?
I actually think it's kind of cool when these tiny little Asian girls who are literally bent into a horseshoe with their backs, and they're benching with about like a less than an inch and a half of range of motion. I'm like, that's
it goes down to that arbitrary idea of the fact that like the bar has fucking little rings that were just placed where they were placed, and now the rules are based upon it. Like it's a fucking rules issue. Like fuck.
Did you ever read the encyclopedia of bodybuilding with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Yep.
I know of it.
I have a copy of it.
I've seen through it.
So, are you fucking kidding me? You guys haven't read that yet?
I have.
Man.
I own the copy, but
I'm 30.
So, anyways, I'll berate you for not reading that later on. But there's a part in that book where he talks about like doing everything you can to win as long as it's legal. And one of the things he had this nice little chapter on psyching your opponent out. And if you read it, he says there's nothing wrong with taking advantage of your opponent's psychological weakness. You have to read it in his voice too, but like it all comes down to that. Do whatever you can to make an efficient time in the sport.
Absolutely,
and follow the rules.
When I was playing, you can depending on what the rules are. It's like speeding. It's not speeding if you don't get caught. So like, if people are always going to push that boundary. It's like in football when I'm covering a receiver, like you're not supposed to hold them, but I'll hold them like every time. Like it's just there's unwritten rules. Like they're gonna arch as fucking high as they can because that's what you do.
Yeah, and as long as their ass and shoulders are on the bench, that's fine.
Yeah, there's our argument. See, we got back in that loop. Okay, fuck this. Thoughts on, again, let's go back to image and this like whole idea of being happy, perfect on social media. Like freaking Peter has this great luscious life in Tampa where he's hanging around serial killers. But then other people have like, they're like the strongest people. They just eat right, do all this shit, blah, 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 blah. How does this affect people who are already struggling to find happiness with the idea that we know most of that, or at least a lot of it, is contrived?
Well, I think if people weren't so quick to compare themselves to others, it would be a lot easier. But that's just who we are. It's just how we roll. And it's a hard habit to break. Comparing yourself to others. But everybody just has to realize that you have a unique history. It's all your own. So to an extent, we are all special snowflakes.
Yeah.
in that we have a lot of similarities, but we also have a lot of differences that make us unique. And, you just got to reinforce that and repeat it to yourself. That way you don't get in the trap of comparing yourself to someone on the gram.
What about like, and we go back to this idea of like the smart people are supposed to put good information out. Do you think it comes to us as fitness professionals, just like ethically and morally, to kind of put out, I guess, not crafted images, but more real images? Or is that kind of just, it's part of the game?
I don't know. I just put out the real stuff. When I started being more real to who I was, like,
yeah.
Business was a lot better after that. When I started talking about how much marijuana I smoke on a given day and stuff like that, and the fact that I take testosterone twice a week and whatnot, like nobody seemed to give a shit, and people tend to like me more.
Well, and you speak about getting high, but like a lot of the posts I'll interact with you is like when you're taking some stupid video high on Instagram. I'm just like, Jesus, Peter. But it probably gets a reaction, and like again, I guess you appeal more to the people you want to work with at the end of the day.
Yeah, and actually, it's funny enough. Those videos I do, I am never high. I don't get high until the very end of the night, because I don't want to blow my macros on eating sour gummy candies over the sink. So I wait until it's the last thing I do, and I just lie down and I'll throw on some Harry Potter or some shit, and I'll just fall asleep.
So basically, you should be like the guru on like macros when you're high, or like how to like kind of shift your diet or your macros to perfect points. Like that could be something. I don't know if that's, I guess it depends on what state you're in.
There's I am not in a state where it's legal as of now, but there's actually funny. There's another guy who's he lives in Canada. He talks about the same shit all the time. His name's on Instagram, it's Timberwolf. I think his name is Kane.
Okay, not familiar with him.
No, the dude's hilarious, and the dude's awesome. But he talks about like getting high all the time, and why he eats the way he does and stuff like that. It's hilarious, and he's a pretty smart guy too. Check him out. Actually,
I'm gonna look at him.
We're a little more legally and socially permissive, I think, about marijuana up here. Our current government is the one good thing they may actually do in this term, if they get it successfully done, is to decriminalize marijuana. So we'll see.
He has 114,000 followers. Fuck,
have I never heard of him? Well, then again,
actually, regardless, so he's
insta famous, but still, if he's funny, he's probably worth a follow.
Yeah, well, he's been training people since like the fucking 90s. He's almost like 50 years old. Super jacked too.
Yeah, he's super jacked. We're just gonna put, don't go look at Peter Baker's. This guy's just like a more jacked version of Peter, with a way cooler name.
I'm actually hoping anyone listening to this who is just being introduced to Peter, and not like Peter's family who listen to this out of sympathy for him, but the people will actually go follow Peter. Peter's really funny on his social media. He's got a lot of really good content.
I think it goes down to the whole point of, I guess, be yourself, because again, you're going to appeal to people you need to, but it's that whole idea of, I would say ethically, morally, you aren't contriving things so that people will follow you. So that ends up being, you're doing a service to the industry, I would say, more so than some of the people who are lying.
Yeah. So here's a good example. Actually, I had a potential, and she actually became a client. She approached me, and she was struggling with almost the zealotry of the way things are, because she came from when she started lifting, it was all about like 5x5, add weight on the bar, blah blah blah, and she felt almost like a little bad because she wanted to have nicer arms, and I was like, hey, it's okay to be you and have nicer arms, and then we did just that, and it was great. And now she doesn't feel bad anymore, and she likes herself more because she, just took her a bit to convince her to do whatever the hell she wanted to do, what was hers to do at that particular time.
So hammering on that point, like I'm not going to say you're the arm guy, but like lately you've been talking about the importance of direct arm training for the goal of, bigger arms, funny enough. Can you care to elaborate on this for our listeners?
Well, it's like, and this goes back. And this goes back to shit that I've seen on like forums years back. Somebody would ask how to do something, right? Like, and let's say it was, in this case, bigger arms. And it was always like, don't curl, do other things that also recruit the biceps, but maybe not as a prime mover. So, people would throw out like dumbbell rows and chin ups and stuff. Now, I'm a fan of both of those things, right? I'm a huge fan of that because, who doesn't want to get some sick lats? But, like your body you build muscle along lines of stress, right? Why would you not add in extra arm volume by doing some goddamn curls? Just why would you not? Like, there's no shame in it, right? You can still get strong. You can still get a heavy deadlift. You can still get some sick lats and get strong at pull-ups and dumbbell rows and barbell rows. You could also get bigger arms at the same time.
I still do a direct arm training day. I love it.
Yeah, like why wouldn't you, right? And one of my coaches, fucking Brian Cron, of course, he's all about that direct arm days, and he has like 8 of them every week.
Brian's actually one of the smarter guys. Once I started really following into his work, he's actually one of the smartest, most practical guys in the industry, and we should probably talk about maybe getting him on here because I met him in Kansas City. He's a really nice guy.
He's super nice and extremely modest whenever you meet him in real life compared to how he acts on Facebook. But no, I like Brian. He's a good guy.
Well, he's actually not very far from us. We're in Edmonton and he's down in Calgary, so he's literally 2.5 hour drive away, breaking some speed records.
Oh, nice. But yeah, like, and that's another thing, like working under him, like having him as a coach is, he brings about that kind of simplicity to it all because, we tend to overcomplicate training in general, but it really doesn't have to be that complicated, right? So, I mean, the simplest answer, if you want to work on something, is to work on that thing. So, yeah, train your fucking arms if you want nice arms. Now, if you're cool with not, working the arms directly, and then don't do whatever else you want to do.
I love direct arm training, and again, we have a lot of trainers, fitness professionals who listen to this stuff, and I think there's a tendency, like you said, away from doing that into more quote functional stuff. Guess what? If you walk around with a set of arms that maybe some women like this too, but guys certainly, where you're stretching t-shirts a little bit, trust me, that's pretty functional in everyday existence.
Well, the one thing that changed my perspective too was one of my first coaches, a guy named Frankie Fairs. He said the function is to move, right? So the function of your elbow joint is to flex. So, sometimes you should train it.
Yeah,
train it if you want to.
I'm down with that. And again, stronger biceps are going to aid in all these primary movements. Anyway, you have strong biceps. It is going to assist your row. It is going to help with your pull-ups and your chin-ups. And, well, it's going to be useful in your bench press too. So this is just accessory work for the functional crowd. And, there's nothing wrong with actually training for aesthetics. This is something that I think for a while our industry kind of felt it's a bad thing. You shouldn't talk about, or you shouldn't be all about training for aesthetics. Well, it's actually probably one of the most honest and purest motivations that we have to work out is to look good. Having aesthetically pleasing arms is part of looking good for a lot of people. So just dispense with this whole notion that, you shouldn't directly train your biceps or do curls, or it's not functional, or it's a waste of your time. It's what you want out of it, and it can be an incredibly valuable use of your time if you value that appearance.
And then, like, in a more serious note, let's say you get to a point where, God forbid, maybe you get into an accident or you injure yourself, and then what if that's all you can do? Then what are you going to do? You're just going to not do it just because it's not functional? Like, no, hopefully if you're smart, you're going to go and you're going to fucking do whatever you can.
No, I absolutely agree with that. So,
sorry, that's my keyboard.
Yeah,
Dean
is typing at God only knows what.
Or Jordan Sayat. So I can add this in.
Yeah,
I had a little Instagram story being like, we're doing Peter Baker and Jordan Sayat. Like, who's better? Like, obviously, I totally threw Peter on the bus and said he's a loser. But Jordan just messaged me. He's like, I'm going to be like 10, 15 minutes late. Gary V's massively late. So I was like, just bring Gary V on. Just threw it out there. I said LOL because I was joking. But maybe.
Oh, my God.
It's not fucking happening.
No, of course not.
I just got the email too. I feel like I'm going to be a little moat of mediocrity because you had Leon last week, or actually that comes out today. Yep. But then you got Jordan. They're both pretty awesome.
We're talking pretty casually. This one's been pretty sick.
We're also smashing. So what we're going to do is we're going to smash yours in between Jordan Sayat's and Dr. Spencer Nadolski afterwards. So you're going to be
our goal is
right in the middle there.
We feel like Jordan will bring like a lot of people, and then they're going to go right to you, and it's going to be like, boom, you're going to get more listeners, and then everyone's going to jump on Peter's train.
God, man, that would be great.
All
And then
400,000 of his
Then
followers are going to be
you bring
yours.
all that leading right into Spencer because Spencer could use the bump
Yeah, and then
because no one follows him,
and then we're all going to be very Instagram famous. It's probably not going to work.
which is
but
Dean's ultimate motivation.
More people should follow Spencer, if not just for the fact that he's a very good-looking guy. Like, he's probably one of the best-looking doctors like I've ever seen in my life, with the exception of the hot Korean lady who was at the medical center whenever I almost joined the military years back. She looks better than
Does she have an
Spencer,
Instagram? I might as well look her up too.
I don't. I don't know. I didn't ask. This was before Instagram actually came out.
Damn it! I was like, we could just lead everyone to all of Peter's crushes.
No, I'm old.
How old are
like
how old are you?
I'm either 150 or 32. You pick.
You're only 32. Okay, Andrew's still the oldest.
Yeah, I'll be 40. I'll be 40 in 12
my-
days, so that fucks with people.
My tattoo artist the other day said I looked 28, so that was like really flattering.
I feel like he was just buttering you up because it was gonna suck.
Nah, she was delightful. She was good. It was like honestly one of my favorite tattoos now that it's healing and looking nice.
Yeah.
And it's
you would have got it right after mine because I think we were setting up this meeting and I was in the tattoo meeting when we were setting this up.
nice.
Yeah.
Nice, yeah. And plus, I think more people should get tattoos in general because they make you look cooler than if you don't have them.
It's totally a horrible life decision if you're trying to like get a house or like save up money, but like they're awesome.
I know more.
It.
I know people are walking around with more money in their tattoos than they are in
totally
their car,
paycheck to paycheck, but like have like $20,000 worth of work. But that's fine, whatever. Like make your whatever. It's life.
It's their money. They can do whatever they want.
Absolutely. I'm totally in agreement with that. I waited till I had enough money because I knew it was going to be expensive and I didn't want to like have a shitty piece of work because I was being cheap. So I was like, I don't just take my money. I'm going to do.
And if anybody in Tampa is listening, her name is Amanda Banks at Blue Devil Tattoo. If anybody wants to go get a tattoo there, because like seriously, like I hung out with Lee and I sent them flowers for their hospitality, right? And they sent me a picture back of one of the flowers. And I was like, man, I should get that tattooed because that's a really good picture. And I did, and it looks great.
So you can be a guy, get a tattoo of a flower, and still be a man. So
I'd choose Spider-Man as like I have, but that's
you could do whatever you want and still be a man. Speaking of that, for one, business also started getting better when I started dressing as DC Comics' own Harley Quinn. Which brings me to why the fuck you guys hate Batman.
So like
I don't hate Batman.
I don't even hate. So this is my story, and like so Danny Vega, he was on Power Rack Strength with me when we were on there, and we'd always talk comics, and like he loved DC and I loved Marvel. He's like, man, just go read some fucking DC, and like I did, and it's good. Like DC's fine, it's just Marvel's so much better. And then Batman is just kind of that. Superman and Batman are just like the main characters, and like Superman's fucked. Like that makes no fucking sense. Like, well, let's just make a superhero with all the shit, and then Batman has none of the shit, and he's just like, well, we'll make him rich. And anyways, long story short, they're just like not superhero-y. It's like I don't know. Fuck it.
Marvel made their own Batman in the form of Iron
for the
Man.
Instagram thing, I needed something because like we're talking all these Instagram people who like blew up from infographics. I'm like, I'm gonna do fucking infographics. Like if they can fucking do it, I can do it. And I just couldn't do it the way they did it. They was just like super like playful and like these normal characters. I'm like, I'm just gonna. I think I called you and I was like, I'm gonna do superheroes. Is that like? Do you think that'll be cool? And I asked Carter. He's like, yeah, that'd be sweet. So I just did it because it makes sense in my brain that I have to have some sort of humor or something because it's easier to write. Especially the content, and I was just like, fuck it, I'm doing it. And then I did it, and then people actually reacted to it, because I truly feel like Spider-Man's way fucking better than Batman, and Batman's he's in a dog, because he's a dumb fuck, so...
I mean, I actually like the infographics, I just hate that you guys hate Batman.
Well, I think at this point, it makes sense to hate something, because then you get that zealotry on either end, and then they all, like, either hate or like it, and it goes viral. Like,
it depends on which version of Batman. If it's Val Kilmer's Batman's sort of passable. Clooney's Batman's terrible.
But that's what I mean. I like the Dark Knight, like fucking
Christopher
way better.
Nolan's Batman's, because it's Christopher Nolan. Fuck Christian Bale, but like Christopher Nolan's interpretation of that entire universe, that shit's good. And then we get into the Batfleck. It's like,
but I like Ben Affleck though. So like Ben Affleck, I think is a great Batman. It's just the fucking Batman.
Yeah, he was a pretty good Batman. I mean,
think
I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I still like Michael Keaton myself.
Oh God, he's the best. You know, he's still the best.
He I don't know. I think he just captured his shit. I still watch I still watch the old Tim Burton Batmans, and they're on Netflix right now. So is Val Kilmer and George Clooney, by the way, if you guys want to go and watch that too. But I wouldn't recommend it.
They just tried to do the whole James Bond thing. It just didn't fucking work. Like we'll have a different.
And it's not. But Batman 1 or the original Batman and Batman Returns were pretty goddamn good. Like I was a big fan.
It's one of those things though where it's easy to at this point comics and like superheroes are a thing now, and it was always a thing for me before it was a thing. So it's easy to just create it goes back to that whole idea of be yourself, because at the end of the day I can't be some contrived bullshit like super happy go lucky these nice little characters saying all this shit. Is like it's gonna be Spider-Man and Batman or some form of that. And yeah, man.
Yeah, like can you imagine, like, speaking of Jordan Syatt, like if somebody tried to rip his personality off, they would utterly fail.
Absolutely.
They would utterly fail at it.
Like he basically did the whole thing. Like he has the smile. Like we were talking about this earlier was that Jordan Syatt has he's the babyface king. Like you can't be mad at Jordan because he's super happy and he's super nice, and like what are you gonna say bad about him?
There's not much.
Like you're not strong, and then he's like, "Oh, I actually deadlifted 4 times my body weight."
Yeah.
Like, regardless of whatever Jordan says, like you can't really knock him because then you're an asshole for making fun of the nice dude. Like,
yeah, exactly. And well, and it helps too because the guy knows his stuff, and like you said, he's pretty damn strong too. Like he's set a couple records, and he's generally an awesome guy.
Before I even knew who he was, like I knew who Carter was before Jordan, and just whatever. And I was like, does he train all this stuff? And Andrew's like, yeah, he actually like trained at Westside. Like he trained at fucking Westside. Like instantly awesome.
Yeah, he was a teenager at Westside. Oh, there's a doggy. And then he went on to intern at Cressy Sports Performance, being like, this man has legitimately done a lot of cool shit. And then, of course, he's also coaches Gary Vaynerchuk, which is nuts.
So, Peter, what have you fucking done?
Well, he's coached Lane Norton.
Okay.
And
good.
speaking of strong people, and,
deadlift 4 times his body weight. I'm trying to make a case for him on Instagram so people can go back.
I only have deadlifted 3 times my body weight.
That's good. That's
actually
impressive. That's very respectable. Very.
And that was, and actually, it was funny because the last time I did that, I think the last competition I did was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And then that same belt, I actually wound up giving Lane because he needed a belt, and it was a really good belt. And I stopped powerlifting, and I was like, yeah, fuck it, I don't need it. And so yeah, that was that.
You gave it to Lane?
Yeah.
Oh, so basically you're the reason why Lane's successful. Like that makes sense. It's the belt.
No, I wouldn't go that far. But he actually insisted on paying for the belt too, which was also very nice of him. Like I was like, dude, just fucking keep it. It's just a belt,
it's like a $100 belt, like that's very used. $10.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's how you want it, right? Because you want it used. You don't want nobody wants to break in a new belt. That shit is
it's hard.
It's a lot of work. You have to beat the fuck out of it.
My lever belt still isn't, like my 13 mil lever belt still isn't broken in. Like my pronged one is, but like, fuck. And that's been years.
Yeah, exactly. And, I like, gosh, man, I think I might have at one point folded it up and ran it over with my truck a little bit. Like,
yeah, that's actually what you're supposed to do. You're like warm it up and like they say microwave, not microwave. Yeah, was it microwave? Anyways,
there's metal on it. I don't think that's a good
idea.
idea.
But you take everything out and microwave it. But yeah, anyways.
Yeah, and I think I got that from a Dave Tate article, and it was a good belt, and passed it on, and shit, he probably still has it. I don't know. I'll have to ask him next time I see him.
That's a good tip for our listeners, though.
Well, I'm trying to steer the conversation towards Lane because, well, one of the reasons why we wanted to chat with you was because you just co-authored a really awesome evidence-based fitness competition prep book with Lane. And I've read it. It's incredible. It's totally a game changer. It's the first of its kind in the industry. So why is this such an important piece of work and to get it into the hands of the masses? And why did it take so long for someone to create a mainstream product to dispel a lot of this traditional bro coach, peak week bullshit nonsense that's out there?
I don't know, but I don't know why it took so long. But I had been writing for his website for a good while now, and every once in a while they'll do. He'll send out things like, hey, he'll send it out to a lot of us, and he'll say, hey, you guys got anything good? And I just send him a text, right? Because he's local to me, right? I just met him at the gym one day before I knew he was an internet famous guy. And I was doing box squats, and he says, hey, your box squats are heavy and they're to depth. And I'm like, well, yeah, why the fuck else would I do them? like what's the point of doing box squats if you're not going to do them like that? And Yeah, I mean, I didn't say it like that. I wasn't a dick. And I was like, oh, thanks, man. And he's like, hey, let me use your safety bar. And he's like, yeah, just put it back whenever you're done. I was like, oh, that's cool. And, and so I met him then. And then I was like, oh, you're kind of an internet guy. It's like, you're on the YouTube and all that stuff. And that's when I found out. And then later on, that's when I started doing the writing for him. And then he sends out the call for articles. I'm like, bro, why don't you just write a book? We can do a book. It'll be great. And then he's like, yeah, let's meet up and talk about it. And I was like, oh yeah, cool. And then he's like, let's do it on contest prep. And if you take away the chapters in the book about waxing your asshole and tanning and all that stuff, really, it's just the ins and outs of like fat loss and like what to expect whenever you want to take it to a bit of an extreme. But like if you skip those other like highly specific chapters, you have like a pretty good resource that I think like a lot of people could potentially understand.
Well, and it's not, I would say it's not for people just doing contests, like you said, like whatever if it's a weight loss goal where you're doing a photo shoot, which I'm happening to do. And it's one of those things where like that has crossover to a lot of people, just because if you're getting into diet, if you have some sort of end goal, it could just kind of make the process a little bit more, I guess, interesting.
Well, I think that if you are one of the trainers and coaches, do we lose them? No, we still got them. Okay, cool. If you're one of the trainers and coaches who doesn't even deal with prep, you should still read this book because, like they said, it is a brilliant piece of work on how to lose fat, how to maintain lean muscle mass while you're going through that process. It is full of like valid, scientific, practical stuff.
And then like go ahead. And you could take what works for you, and like obviously you don't have to get to single digit body fat if you don't want to, but it's there, and like it tells you how to do just that if you want to keep on going, and how to do it safely and stuff like that, because a lot of those other things where people are depleting water and using diuretics and stuff, that could cause harm. We don't want that.
Well, and that goes to like, who is this book not for? And like, that's an honest question, because like it could be, you could give dynamite to someone who it's not right for. So like, who's it not for? And that's like a real question.
I mean, you are going to learn stuff, right? And you will have to, like if you plan on like coaching yourself to compete, you're going to have to like do math and stuff like that. And if you just want to not think, which is fine, right? Sometimes people hire coaches so they don't have to think about shit, and just, hey, here's your training program, and then you interact with your coach a little bit, and then they fix it and whatever. But it tells you how to fish. So if you don't want to fish, which is fine, then it's not for you.
Yeah. I don't know why I was thinking. My brain's fucked today. We're talking about religion. It was like, teach a man to fish. What's the Jesus quote?
You teach a man.
Give a man a fish.
You feed him for a day. You teach a man a fish. You feed him for a lifetime. I tend to use that term more in along the lines of politics.
I wanted to use it, and it didn't come out because he's a religious studies major.
Yes.
I took religious studies for my minor. Funny enough, I loved it. It's like a history class.
Yeah, it was fun.
So that's just it. As long as you don't get into theology, like Peter said, it's
you have to argue with people in theology, though.
It's history. Well,
the crazies do go to those classes for sure. Like I had a few, but we're not supposed to.
But yeah, so like that's who I would say it's not for. And that's completely okay. But some people, a lot of coaches have purchased it already, because they want to learn stuff so they can help their people do it right. And I think that's important too, is just giving the information to people who are going to like use it to steer people in the right direction, and that's completely awesome.
When it goes back to
so I'm glad
yeah.
So I was just saying, I'm like glad those types of people are buying it and, into it and stuff.
When that goes to making your mark on the fitness industry, and like I guess doing obviously it's self-serving, like you're making money off of it, but you're putting out the right information because it's scientifically based, and you're putting it in the hands of people so that information is at the forefront more so than some of the other bullshit. So good job, man.
Cool.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I hope you get super rich off of it.
So yeah. I'll do my best, and I do also have other stuff I'm gonna release this year as well. So be on the lookout for that.
Any teasers?
Butt program.
Shocking. You and John Romanello should get together and do something for butts.
Does it have the wax in the butthole portion, or whatever?
No, this is just
butts and mental health.
So basically, right? If you want you know, like if you want a bigger butt, you got to have a lot of volume. And some people tend to neglect the volume on that, or they put it towards something like a squat, which doesn't necessarily build, the glutes as well as other things can. So you just take this program that I'm going to do for 12 weeks and you tack it on to whatever your workout is. And then, it's only about 15 to 30 minutes extra. And then, it's a bunch of glute volume. And then, it works. Had a few people try it and they loved it.
We'll link up with Dean Somerset because he does all this stuff with hips, and him and Tony Gentlecore have that hip and shoulder thing. So talk to Dean, and then you take care of the kind of the glute and the ass part, and he takes care of the internal workings of the hips, and you've got a product.
The butt stuff.
Yeah, I actually did mention it to him because I actually talked to him the other day about shoulder stuff because I got things going on that I need fixing. So nothing too crazy, just a little bit of stuff.
Well, he's the guy. Which one, Tony or Dean?
I was talking to Dean, but Dean's a pretty smart guy.
Yeah,
I like Dean.
Yeah, thanks, man. Oh, other Dean.
You guys are cool. You're cool too.
We need to change your name.
I'm not. Dean's fucking on like he's like a level. He's like a Super Saiyan smart. Like fuck, I got ways to go.
I can't help but go to, because I've done a lot of his continuing ed work, his courses and stuff, because we used to work for the same company, so I'd get a shit ton of it for free, like fucking like amazing. But you can't help but walk out of the room and just feel a little stupider after being around Dean, because you're just like, man, there's no way you can keep up with the level of like how much shit this guy knows. But after some time, you realize how much you actually absorb of it.
Yeah, and that's why it's cool. And that's why that was one of the highlights of actually the fitness summit last year, was watching him speak.
He's a very, very polished public speaker. He's really practiced at it.
Oh yeah, he's very good. But yeah, so that's what I got going on basically in the upcoming months, along with the complete contest prep guide.
Nice. Well, speaking of that, we can just let our listeners know where they can find you on social media, your website and work and stuff like that. Dean is looking upset because I stole his question. You can ask the book question. You can ask the book question.
It's in the wrong order. Okay,
I don't care.
Okay, where do we?
Where do we find you? Because we're talking about your shit. So
that's true.
My Instagram is Peter D. Baker, all one word.
Yeah.
And you can find me on Facebook, just Peter Baker. Like, use my personal profile because the business page is terrible. I don't ever do anything with it.
Well, fuck. What's the point now with Facebook anyway? They hide them with the algorithm. So
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously you use it to run ads and shit like that whenever you're ready. But which I will do. But right now, I just post all the good stuff, mostly on Instagram now, and a little bit on the Facebook. The Facebook just, for me, talking shit whenever I get high, which is funny.
Yeah, well, that's the only shit that picks up. Like I don't know, it's messed up unless you ask something like obscure, like some sort of question. I guess that's part of the algorithm to spark conversation, but like normal stuff that to spread this podcast won't do shit. Andrew will ask some question or tell a story and then be like, "Hey, does anyone know anything about this?" Or like talk about mental whatever it was, illness or something. Thousands of people see it. It's just like,
or put up like one of the 2 pictures of me without my shirt off that exists on the internet, and that one blew up.
Yeah, so like they basically you need to talk about crazy shit or put naked pics on. So
works for the girls. Are you going to ask him about books or what?
I guess I can even do it like Andrew does. He's like, every one of our readers had a book that impacted their life. In your collection, do you have any books that hold special meaning in your heart that you think would benefit other people who are listening to this podcast?
See, that was really good. You did good with that.
I tried.
Oh God, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Thank you. Fuck yeah. Someone. I thought Jordan was going to be actually Jordan's is going to be before yours.
Hunter S. Thompson.
No one has given a fiction book.
No, that's not true. I think there's been 1 or 2.
If you talk to like a guy like Robbie Farlow or somebody, he'll probably name a fiction book because I'm pretty sure.
I don't think
well, sometimes he fucks off, but Roman will probably name a fiction book too, because like we learn a lot from fiction. It tells us how to build stories so we can connect to our people. But for me, Hunter S. Thompson is the sole reason I ever decided to start writing anything at all.
I was gonna say, like, what's the story brand of fucking Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas? What's he the guide for?
I don't know, man. It's just it was one of the first books that made me laugh out loud.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. It was just good writing, and I was like, man, this is a good story. I'm gonna I should probably do this because it made me laugh. Maybe I can make other people laugh, and so yeah, that's how I started writing it all.
I haven't read the book. I've seen the movie, but it was one of those things where like I was probably like 12 or something. What's ether? Like when the internet came out, like where can I get ether?
There's nothing more depraved than a man in the depths of an ether binge.
Like,
yeah, you probably don't want to do ether.
no, and I didn't end up finding what I wanted at 12, like, or whatever the age I was. Like, I don't think I got anything out of it, but I wanted it. I still haven't found it. I'm not looking actively if anyone's asking. But.
Well, that's good, but yeah, I don't know, just something about it really resonated with me, so it's just one of the best books of all time. He said it was better than The Great Gatsby and as good as The Sun Also Rises.
I might actually go.
That's Hunter S. Thompson saying that. Yeah, no, you definitely should. It's fantastic, and I'm a big fan of a lot of fiction. That Heart of Darkness, even though it was not well written, it's a great story. And that's probably one of my favorite stories too. Or you could just watch the movie Apocalypse Now because it is Heart of Darkness, adapted and told like it's fucking awesome. It's like one of the best movies of all time.
Well, I need some fiction stuff. I got some vacation time coming up, so I'll pick up that. I wanted to do Altered Carbon because the show is pretty sick, and I think the book would be that. It's a Netflix show on like some sci-fi stuff.
I heard about that. I need to actually watch it because I've heard nothing but good things. But or you could go classic and just read like Lord of the Rings or something like that.
I've already. I'm not a big book rereader. I know some people are. I've never. The only ones I've reread is Harry Potter, but that's because like that was my book growing up.
Hey, that's been my movie selection every night lately. Whenever I get high and pass out, I just watch Harry Potter.
Just fall asleep to it. What do you think of it looking back on it? I haven't actually watched the series, because does it still hold up?
Well, here's the thing for me, right? I didn't read it growing up. I used to be like a hardcore Tolkien whore, so I was like, man, fuck Harry Potter because I was young, right? I didn't read the books and watch the movies until I was 30, so like 2 years ago, and I'm like, man, this is pretty good perspective because when you get to the Order of the Phoenix, you realize like, yo, these people are terrorists. But they're still good guys.
The book is actually like it's really like you think it's like a kid's, and it is a kid's book, but like the books are really well done, and the movies as well.
I've never read the books or watched the movies, and I intend to probably do both at some point.
You can probably get to the first 3 books in fucking like 2 days.
And John Romanow talked about this on a podcast I listened to him on. I thought it was really poignant. He talks about how important it is to be aware of and know about what's relevant in terms of pop culture, culturally. And there's very little that is as pervasive in modern pop culture as things like Star Wars or Harry Potter. And even as he makes his point, as fitness professionals, if we don't know much about this stuff, we're missing out on an opportunity to be able to relate to, discuss with the people that we're training. If we're immersed in only fitness stuff and we just simply don't know anything else about the world, you're missing out on an important place to develop relationships with the people who are coming to see you, because a lot of the time
exactly. And I mean, honestly, how many more things do you need to see on like how to fucking perform like a dumbbell row and stuff like that. I mean, like there's a lot of good stuff out there, but I mean, most people could probably get by with, reading The Science and Practice of Strength Training a couple times because it's like literally one of the best books like in the world, on the subject. And read Super Training, and then you're probably like better than most if you plan on doing this as a profession,
Well, if you want a trainer, you want someone who like kind of isn't a fucking big nerd. Well, maybe that's not true. Maybe some people want nerds.
People are going to gravitate to who resonates with them. And it kind of goes to, you mentioned Robbie Farlow in our podcast with him. Robbie's a huge nerd, and that's part of his brand and image. And then a lot of people who are really interested in nerd type stuff, video games, comic books, the classical stuff like that, chances are they may gravitate to a guy like Robbie who they relate to, or a Mark Fisher who's really kind of out there and goofy and fun, versus maybe you mentioned Dave Tate, like an old school powerlifter type. And in the end, whatever gets people who otherwise don't feel comfortable accessing the fitness industry, maybe they don't think that men's physique guys are what they relate to, but these are people you still want to get them off the couch. if you have something that you know about, that you're passionate about, that relates to those people, it's a great way to serve those people.
That's why I'm getting
exactly. And like a lot of people come to Roman because they like his music taste, right, and stuff like that. And that's where a lot of his people, like I can't fucking stand that shit. I make fun of him for it all the time.
Shit is terrible. I don't get it.
But when it came time to sign up for his business coaching, I did it because he plays D&D and he knows about Game of Thrones, which is my shit. Like, because I played D&D growing up, and I fucking like Game of Thrones too. And
I wish I would have played D&D growing up.
I loved it
because like all of that shit's fun now, and I was like, again, MMOs are big, so I guess that is kind of D&D. It's based on predicated on it, but like we started playing.
Let's not get Chris, not even close.
Well, not even close because, like I said, the social aspect is whatever. It's like the internet, but like I got together with my boys who all gamed growing up, and we started doing game nights. Everyone was like, why haven't we fucking done this for years? Like, you can drink, you can do whatever, you can fucking. Everyone's in the same room. It's not the same as when you're online.
Peter probably does it high.
That would
actually no. I am completely sober during Dungeons and Dragons games and all that because I want to like have pure focus on it.
Yeah, you want to win, Andrew.
You don't want to go all Leroy Jenkins because you're fucking.
Well, that's not really a win or lose type game, but I mean you can't die. If you fuck up on playing your character. But,
I was thinking about Catan. Even like Catan, all my friends get like. I shouldn't say what they do. My friends get on a different level, and they're like, "Why aren't you partaking?" I'm like, "Well, I'm here to win. I don't know about you guys. I'm gonna drink my Diet Coke, and I'm gonna win. And then I'm a 50-50 player, but that's just because I'm smart. I don't know.
But yeah, that's basically it. Like, I want to play the game and I want to enjoy it.
That's all I need to. That's what I'm gonna get drunk on gaming.
I like that. Getting drunk on gaming.
Yeah, getting drunk on nerd shit.
You've given us about like 5 different great titles for this one. I think I've settled on one. Peter, this was awesome. It's actually nice when we're not rushed for time. We're going to sit down and record Jordan Syatt now in probably a little bit. And by the time people are listening to this, the Jordan Syatt episode will be out. So you guys can, if you're a fan of Peter's and you really like what you saw here, maybe you'll bounce off to that one or one of the other people.
Probably Robbie would be the most.
Robbie Farlow
would be the most same-ish kind of content. Yeah.
Or you could skip forward and like Spencer Nadolski.
Well, like Robbie was like very laid back, and we kind of just shot the shit. Well, like, did we even get to our questions? We did, but it was a very similar style of podcast, I would say.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah,
I'm down,
dude. You've been fantastic. I really hope, guys, you follow him. And if you are someone who the book, remind us of the title of the book because it's basically on pre-sale right now.
Well, it's not, but it will. We're going to launch it like It'll be up for sale by the time this episode goes out. It is called the Complete Contest Prep Guide.
Good. Nice. Good, guys. And look out for
that. If you follow Lane or me, and I can even give you guys a link to throw in the thing too as well.
We will for sure
for iTunes, and they'll be able to find it.
Nice. Beautiful. Yeah, guys, don't follow Peter seriously. Thanks for sticking around and enjoying this one. This was really fun. This is one of the more laid back and enjoyable ones that we've
I've
recorded.
had too many coffees this morning, so if I seem energized, it's just too much coffee.
I had my daily Java Monster already. It was great.
Andrew's drinking a Monster too. Sorry, I don't know if you want people knowing.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
I just wish we could get Bang Energy into Canada. I know that our friend and Dean's boss, Landon, they snuck some Bang across the border when they came back from Seattle, and they said they saved me one. I bet it's long gone, but we'll see.
Speaking of that, how far are you guys from Seattle?
We're about 15. It's all of Vancouver, like 17 hours. It's easy to get to. Like
it's a quick flight. It's a really quick flight.
Yeah, and I drive to
because I'm gonna be up there like all of May.
Oh, I'm thinking no. Oh, all of May. I'm actually in Vancouver. But I'm doing a seminar in Vancouver, so anyways.
If, like, by some fucked up chance you actually do manage to get up here in the second half of May, because we're all going to be down in Kansas City in the early part, we could probably cobble together Dean Somerset and all of us and a few of our other friends and get together for some dinner or workout or whatever. So if it just so happens to work out, well, fuck it, and maybe you can get Brian Crown to come up for the day or two.
Good luck on that.
All right, Peter. I'm gonna end this and then peace out, guys.
Shut up and sit down.